Hey friend, imagine clocking into the job you fought so hard to get, the one that was supposed to save you, only to discover that the person sitting in the corner office, the one who decides if you eat or starve this month, looks exactly like the love you buried 6 feet under 2 years ago. Every time she smiles, your chest caves in. Every time she calls your name, you hear your dead wife's voice. So you hide. You dodge meetings, you fake illnesses, you take the long way around the building just to avoid her eyes. But one rainy Tuesday she corners you in the elevator and asks the question you've been dreading, Ethan, why are you avoiding me? And you finally break. Because seeing you hurts. That single sentence changes everything. If your heart has ever been shattered by grief, if you've ever carried a secret so heavy it poisoned every good thing in your life, stay with me. Because this is the true story of how one man's unbearable pain became the bridge to the deepest healing he never knew he needed. This is of a story that will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Grab your tissues. Let's begin. My name is Ethan Rivera. 34 years old. Senior UI designer at Lumina Tech. On paper, I had it all, a sleek apartment overlooking the city, a salary that finally let my mother stop working double shifts, and a reputation for creating interfaces so beautiful people cried over them. Inside, I was already dead. 2 years earlier, on a warm July evening, my wife Mia had kissed me goodbye, hopped on her scooter to pick up my favorite mango ice cream, and never came home. A drunk driver ran a red light. 1 second she was laughing on the phone with me, the next, silence. The kind of silence that swallows your whole future. I buried her on a Tuesday. I went back to work on Wednesday. Everyone called it strength. I called it survival. Because the moment I stopped moving, the pain would catch me and finish what the accident started. Then came the merger. Lumina Tech was acquired by a bigger fish, and our new CEO arrived like a storm wrapped in silk. Sophia Lang. 41, brilliant, terrifyingly kind. The first time I saw her walking through the open-plan floor, shaking hands and remembering everyone's name, my coffee cup slipped from my fingers and shattered. Because Sophia Lang had Mia's smile. Not similar, exact. The same dimple on the left cheek, the same way her eyes crinkled when she laughed, the same gentle tilt of her head when she listened. Even her voice carried the same soft melody Mia used when she comforted me after a bad day. I told myself it was a coincidence. A cruel trick of genetics. But every time Sophia passed my desk, the air left the room. My lungs forgot how to work. I would stare at my monitor until my eyes burned, pretending to code while my heart screamed. So I started avoiding her. I volunteered for every remote project. I took the stairs instead of the elevator. I changed my route to the pantry so I wouldn't cross her path. When she scheduled one-on-ones, I suddenly had doctor appointments. My performance reviews began to slip, not because my work was bad, but because I was never in the room when it mattered. Colleagues whispered. Ethan's burned out. Ethan's scared of the new boss. No one knew I was drowning in a grief I couldn't explain. How do you tell your CEO, I can't look at you because you're wearing the face of the woman I promised forever to? 6 months of this torture passed. I lost weight. I stopped sleeping. My mother started calling every night, worried. I lied and said I was fine. Then came the quarterly town hall. The entire company gathered in the auditorium. Sophia was giving her speech about empathy and leadership when her eyes found mine in the third row. She smiled that smile, Mia's smile, and something inside me snapped. I stood up mid-sentence and walked out. Didn't even wait for the applause. That evening, security footage showed me leaving the building like I was being chased. The next morning, my calendar pinged with a mandatory meeting, CEO office, 9 a.m. Ethan Rivera. No agenda. No escape. I sat outside her door for 10 minutes, palms sweating, rehearsing lies. Migraines. Anxiety. Family issues. Anything but the truth. When I finally stepped inside, Sophia was standing by the window, back to me, watching the rain slide down the glass. She didn't turn around immediately. Close the door, Ethan. Her voice was gentle. Too gentle. I did. She turned. And there it was again, Mia's eyes looking straight into my soul. I've been patient, she said quietly. I've watched you excel on every project you touch, yet you disappear the moment I enter a room. I've read your performance notes. Avoids leadership interaction. Misses key meetings. So I'm going to ask you once, and I need the truth. She took one step closer. Why are you avoiding me? The words I'd buried for 6 months clawed their way out before I could stop them. Because seeing you hurts. My voice cracked on the last word. Sophia's perfect professional mask slipped. Confusion, then something deeper, concern, flooded her face. Hurts, she repeated softly. Ethan, what did I do? Nothing, I whispered. You did nothing. You look like her. And then the dam broke. I told her everything. About Mia. The scooter. The ice cream. The funeral where I stood in the rain because I couldn't feel anything anymore. How every time Sophia smiled, I saw Mia waving at me from the doorway that last morning. How I was terrified that if I let myself feel anything good again, would betray the woman I still loved more than life. I cried in front of my CEO like a child. Ugly, gasping sobs that shook my entire body. Sophia didn't speak for a long time. She simply walked to her desk, pulled out a box of tissues, and placed it in front of me. Then she did something no CEO should ever have to do. She sat on the floor beside my chair, cross-legged in her $1,000 suit, and waited until I could breathe again. When I finally looked up, her eyes were wet too. "Ethan," she said, voice trembling, "I need to show you something." She reached for her phone, scrolled, and turned the screen toward me. It was a photo of a young woman, maybe 25, with the exact same smile, same dimple, same eyes. But it wasn't Mia. It was Sophia's younger sister. Her name was Lila, Sophia whispered. She died in a car accident 3 years ago. Drunk driver. Same month Mia did. I took this job because I was running from the emptiness too. Every time I look in the mirror, I see her. Every time I try to be kind to someone here, I'm really trying to be kind to the sister I couldn't save. The room spun. All this time I thought I was the only one haunted. Sophia reached out and took my hand, something bosses never do. "You're not avoiding me, Ethan. You're avoiding the pain we both carry. And I'm so sorry I became a trigger for you without knowing." She gave my hand a gentle squeeze. "But maybe, just maybe, we don't have to carry it alone anymore." That was the moment chapter 1 ended and everything changed. The weeks that followed were messy, beautiful, and terrifying. Sophia didn't fire me. She didn't even write me up. Instead, she did something radical. She created a new rule just for us. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m., after everyone else had gone home, her office door stayed open for Grief Club. Just the two of us. No titles. No CEO and employee. Just Ethan and Sophia, two broken people learning how to breathe again. At first it was awkward. I would sit on her couch clutching coffee like a shield while she shared stories about Lila. How Lila used to steal her hoodies. How they fought over the last slice of pizza. How Lila's laugh could fill an entire room. Then I started talking about Mia. How she hated mornings but loved making me breakfast anyway. How she drew little hearts on my coffee cups. How her last words to me were, "Don't forget to eat, dummy." Some nights we laughed until we cried. Some nights we just sat in silence watching the city lights, because sometimes grief doesn't need words, it just needs witness. The challenges came fast. My team noticed I was suddenly attending every meeting with the CEO. Rumors flew. Ethan sucking up. Office romance. I wanted to hide again. Sophia pulled me aside one day and said, "Let them talk. The only opinion that matters is the one you're finally allowing yourself to have, of yourself." She was right. Slowly, the triggers lost their power. I could look at Sophia now without seeing only Mia. I started seeing Sophia, her quiet strength, her ridiculous love for terrible dad jokes, the way she fought for every employee like they were family. One evening, after a particularly brutal panic attack in the parking garage, she drove me home. We sat in her car for 2 hours while I shook and sobbed. When I finally calmed down, she said the words that saved me. "Ethan, Mia didn't die so you could stop living. She died, and it was unfair, and it still hurts every single day. But love like that? It doesn't want you to live half a life. It wants you to live the fullest life possible, so that when you meet her again someday, you can tell her all the beautiful things you did with the time she couldn't have." I cried harder than I had at the funeral. But this time the tears felt different. They felt like release. 3 months later, I stood on stage at the company's annual Innovation Summit and presented a new design system I had poured my soul into. Sophia sat in the front row. When I finished, the entire auditorium rose in applause. But the only approval I cared about was the proud, tear-filled smile on my CEO's face, the smile that no longer broke me, but built me. That night, after the celebration, Sophia and I walked along the river. "I have something for you," she said, pulling out a small velvet box. Inside was a silver bracelet with 2 charms, a tiny scooter and a mango. "Mia and Lila would have loved each other," she whispered. "And they would both be so proud of us for choosing to keep going." I put the bracelet on and felt, for the first time in years, that my heart had space for more than just pain. Today, I still work at Lumina Tech. I still miss Mia every single day. But I no longer run from the hurt, I walk toward it with open arms. And every time I see Sophia laugh in a meeting, I smile back. Because now I know, the people we lose don't leave us. They leave pieces of themselves in the strangers who help us heal. If you're watching this right now and you're avoiding someone, or something, because the pain feels too big, hear this. The very thing that hurts you the most might be the doorway to the healing you never thought possible. Don't run forever. One day, when you're ready, turn around. Look that pain in the eyes. Tell it the truth. And watch how love, stubborn, ridiculous, healing love, finds a way back in. You are not alone. You never were. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story touched you, drop a comment with the name of someone you're choosing to stop avoiding today. Let's heal together. See you in the next chapter of your own beautiful, painful, miraculous life.